Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you to Bot Grinder for starting the stream. For those who don't know, Bot decided to borrow my background on yesterday's live stream that he had. The guy is such a legend. He really, really is. And I have not laughed so hard in a while. And so thank you, Bot. And if you don't know who Bot Grinder is, there is a link there to his channel. What I'll say is this: you're not allowed to unsubscribe from my Patreon, right? But Bot does have a Patreon, and if you'd like to support him, please do consider doing so. The guy is an absolute legend within FPV, a frankly bloody good pilot, but also just a legend in itself. But yeah, I can't put some of it on because there's some words that I couldn't put on my stream that did appear on his. But yes, it was very, very funny. Very well played, my friend. Very well played. So tonight, we've got some stuff to talk about, but before we do this, I have to get something out of the way, and that is to ensure that I am shilling all of the brands at the same equal level. So I have to say, this is the DJI Goggles 2. If you like DJI FPV, you should buy this. It's very, very good. This is the Cadex Goggles X. If you like CaddX, you really should buy these. They're very, very good. This is the HDZero goggles. If you like HDZero, you should buy these. They're very, very good. All of these companies are very, very good. None of these companies do anything bad, and no matter what you read online, they are all amazing companies and they all love you very, very much. And make sure that when you're buying your products, whenever you see someone say something bad about them, make sure that you go online and tell them, because they're obviously wrong, because they're all very, very good. So I wouldn't want anyone to think that any of these products are not very, very good, because they're all very, very good. And they're all your friends, every one of them. They're all in it for your best interest. They sit there and think, what would he want? And how can I sell it to him for as little as I can, so I basically make no money and do everything he wanted? Because I want to make sure that they're doing, that the users feel that they're not getting treated badly. Now I've got that bullshit out of the way, let's get on with the stream. Tonight, we're going to talk about Cadex FPV and the complete crap show of the launch of the Goggles X. Now, let me be clear. I ain't talking about the product. I'm talking about the fact that the firmware situation is all over the place, and I'm going to explain it again, and I'm going to be clear. It's not about the product. It's about the half-assed situation that they have left people in with a set of goggles when they turn them on and it says, hey, your firmware mismatches, please update. And then they go to the website and there isn't firmware there. And not only that, the firmware that is there is a beta one as well. So we're going to talk about that. We're also, I'm going to stop that playing, we're going to talk about the new Bandit modules, because there's a lot of questions I've seen on these, and even I got confused about 20 minutes ago. However, I just want to answer a few questions on the Bandits, because there has been a bunch of questions on them, mostly around the 868 stuff, so we're going to talk about that as well. And we're going to talk about the DJI rumours that also happened this week. Yes, you can call me Picasso. Yes, I am an artiste. You will not see this level, right, of artiste anywhere else. Yes, I am the man responsible for that image, as Jonas said. However, it is based off genuine information, and that's the bit I want to talk about as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about the BetaFPV Super G, and there is a video coming on that tomorrow. And I've probably put something else in the title I said I'm going to talk about. Yes, the Here Pro, which is a very nice piece of kit, and we'll talk about that too. Now, as always, we are open to questions. Super chats are welcome, but they're not required. I will answer any questions I see in the chat. But what we'll do is we'll move through some of the subjects first of all. I want to say a big thank you to everyone for joining me tonight. It's been a very interesting week with regards to many aspects in FPV, largely the fact that CaddX seemed to have screwed up the launch completely, and we're going to talk about that first, and then we'll move on to the rest of the stuff. Now, I'm under no illusion that I'm expecting at any moment a rather crappy email from CaddX over the video that I put out last night. And let me be clear, let me just grab the goggles. I said already, the product's actually not bad. The product is very, very good. But I have never in a release seen, or had, I should say, I have never had so many questions from users on a product that I've reviewed in such a short period of time after it's come out. And all of this is being driven by the fact of the confusion of what the firmware situation is. Now, there's nothing here that's bad or wrong with the goggles. Yes, some people are getting some goggles with some problems. We'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute. But this is the fact that the goggles are coming with a firmware version which isn't available on the website. You don't need to update the firmware on the goggles, but you're running an earlier version on the VTX, which is fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. But every time you power it on, it says you have a firmware mismatch, you should update. And the problem is, nowhere has CaddX put out a notice, nowhere is there a notification on the website, and no one's been told anything with regards to this situation. What's worse than that is this started last Monday. People actually started getting their goggles the start of last week, and we are now nearly 7 days later and nothing has changed. Now, I did reach out to CaddX in the middle of the week and asked them about firmware, and I was told it's coming soon. Yet that doesn't help users. Now, I have no issues with CaddX not having new firmware ready to go with various parts of the system, but this is really simple. If they couldn't get firmware out in time, then they should have re-rolled the last version with a new firmware version number, the same as these goggles, to get rid of the error message. DJI have done this a number of times in the past. You don't have to have all parts of the system having new firmware. What you need, though, is all parts of the system having a matched firmware. And what they should have done is, if they couldn't release a version that was new, then take the version that was there before, rewrap it with a new version number to match the goggles, and say, hey, if you're a Goggles X user, please update your VTXs to this version. If you're an existing user, don't worry, this is exactly the same firmware as you've got already. If you're on the latest version, this is only for the Goggles X users. They didn't need to drop a new firmware with all the new features. The goggles already have the features they've been sold with. We're not expecting any new features at the moment. We are expecting a firmware to match these goggles. Now, DJI have done this several times with their FPV system because they have to. They can't have a situation of one piece of hardware on a new piece of firmware and one piece of hardware on an old piece of firmware. And DJI have rolled forward the firmware version, say for the Vista, without actually making any changes, simply to ensure that there is proper compatibility. It's not a difficult thing to do. They could have also, as an alternative to this, because they must have known this was going to happen, suppressed the mismatch warning on the firmware they installed on the goggles so that when users turned them on, it didn't come up. That would have been just as much a valid thing to do, although that could have had implications further down the line. So, whatever they've done is a mess, frankly, and it's ended up with people simply not understanding. And whilst, Chris, you said, I'm sorry, but this isn't much of an issue, it really is when you are receiving the amount of questions on this I have had. Trust me, the amount of people who have posted on Facebook, posted on Discord, posted online saying, I've got my new goggles, I'm powering them on, it says firmware mismatch, what do I do? CaddX are not responding to messages. People have emailed them and they're not replying. It is an issue when people don't understand. Take away the fact that flying with the mismatch firmware isn't an issue. It is a fact that people don't know. And playing it down doesn't make it any better. It's technically a problem of perception, but that doesn't make it any better. What they should have done is either release these on the firmware version, which was the last version, and if it's wrong or different, it doesn't matter. No one would have known. The first firmware on these goggles is not important. It could have been the same version that was public on the other goggles. No, it doesn't matter. What matters is people are not powering their goggles up and getting a message telling them to update when there isn't firmware available to update. And that is what the problem is. Just catching up on the chat. I'm not quite sure, Hanman, what you say, Herman, what you're saying. PSA, 7 days. 7 days this has been rolling on for. To be honest, a PS, even on the website, just a notice, Goggles X users, you may be getting a warning saying your firmware is out of date. Don't worry, it is perfectly fine to fly with the previous versions. Anything, but there is nothing. People have been left with no information, not knowing what's going on. Now, they will sort it, but it should have been sorted a week ago. I sat here for a week. This isn't new. I've seen this coming for 6 to 7 days. Started getting questions Monday, Tuesday. In fact, a number of people asked me, what version am I using? A couple of people... the real issue is I don't think CaddX have a full-time programmer. I don't know. Look, even JB had firmware issues with his review. Look, the whole firmware situation is a mess. So they need to get on top of it. And that's why I made noise about it. I made noise because I have literally, by yesterday night, the amount of questions I had on this was crazy. It was just crazy. And it's just like, wow, this is silly. Come on. This is silly. And you can't rely everyone's on Facebook. You can't rely everyone's on Discord. You can't rely everyone. Just put a bloody notice on the website because that's what people are doing. People are going to the website and going, cadexfpv.com. Let's go there now. And if there's something here, they've added it because it wasn't there half an hour ago. You go to the bottom. Eventually, you'll find where the firmware updates is because it's not easy to find. Download center. And you go down and you go, oh, Goggles X 3D files. Oh, firmware. Oh, Avatar 34.4.15. And that's it. There's nothing. There's just nothing here at all. It's just, it is not good enough on a $500 product. I'm sorry, but it's not. And if it was anyone else, we'd be screaming the same thing. This isn't specific to CaddX. It isn't specific to anyone. It needs to go on the website. So that's my rant on CaddX. I hope they get it sorted. I'm probably in the bad books, but what I said had to be said. I'm sorry, but it did. It just not... And I've heard, and I don't know how long it is, I reckon the new firmware is at least 2 weeks out. As from what I understand. The new firmware is at least 2 weeks out. Don't care about new features. What we want is the firmware versions to match. The goggles work. Now, before I move on from the Goggles X, I should just talk a little bit about what people have been finding. Some issues coming to light. Nothing fantastic in the sense of we don't think they're common, but we are seeing people with issues with OLEDs. Pretty normal. DJI have had OLEDs. Problems. The Goggles 2 still have OLED problems with burnt pixels or dead pixels. Some people are getting their goggles with stuck pixels. Some people have had them with different shades on the displays. Interesting. I believe JB was told these goggles using Sony displays. I can't confirm that. I don't know. So things like different shades could be firmware related still. So I wouldn't say this thing. Probably the most disturbing issue is the amount of sort of stuck pixels, but you can mess with that in software. That can be fixed. People also having HDMI issues on their PC. If you do want to connect these to your PC, they absolutely work, but there are some things you need to be aware of. You need to set it as a second display in Windows, not the main display. You don't mirror the main display. Set it as a second display. Then you need to set it to 100 Hertz and it should work. The real key, though, is don't mirror the main display. Now, nothing we see here is particularly unusual for a goggles launch. Stuck pixels, dead pixels, you see it on everything. HDZero gets it, Avatar HD version 1's had it, DJI get it still today. There are loads of posts on Goggles 2 having OLED issues. And we're getting some on here. So there's nothing particularly unusual. You're going to see a spate of it at the start because that's when you see the initial supplies come out. Actually, what I will say is nothing I've seen posted is really around assembly problems as far as I've seen. So, you know, the bits that they control. At the end of the day, a dead OLED is a dead OLED. That stuff happens. What we don't know is the quality of the screens they're buying, the grade of the screens they're buying. Are they buying A grade? There are multiple grades of OLEDs out there, and just because they're Sony's doesn't really make... Look, you're not buying them directly from Sony. You're buying them through a supplier, and you're getting your optics done, and what you can have is different grades, and that grade could be that you're willing to put up with X amount of failures or percentage of dead pixels. So there's a lot of complication to this. As long as CaddX resolve it for people, that's fine. I've seen one set of goggles where the D button didn't work properly. That is what it is. That's just manufacturing issues. There will always be manufacturing issues. We have to understand that. But there's nothing concerning so far. I'm keeping an eye on it. About the only one that is a little bit is the amount of OLED issues. But what you don't have is context on that. We don't know how many people are sitting there saying, my goggles look amazing. Interestingly, and I don't know if there's anyone in the chat who has a set, and I'm really interested. If you do, shout now. Are you happy with what you've seen so far? That's what I'm really interested in. I haven't seen any disappointed or negative comments from anyone, and that's the real important one for me. As a person that recommended the product, as a person that said, look, here's the good points, here's the bad points, here's one. Yeah, see, there's someone. I'm really interested. The people who've bought them, you know, are you happy? That's what's important. And that's the cool thing. How is the optics for you, Zuckerberg? Are you seeing any vignette in? You get yours tomorrow. Okay. Are you seeing any vignette in? Are the optics bigger than the V1s? No, they're just different. The outside display is, but it's on a ring. So let me just go to the overhead. It's a bit hard to show you. There's a black ring around it. So technically the optics are different. Look how dirty mine are. But there is a black ring that makes it smaller. I'm going to be honest. I don't anticipate this kind of understanding. Yeah, we didn't scream about DJI's OLED issues. DJI have had OLED issues from day one. Didn't scream about it. We've never screamed about OLED issues on any goggle, if I recall. What DJI gets screamed at is for being dull. And DJI should know better. You have to take into account that initial manufacturer is going to have issues. That happens on DJI. That happens on everyone. It's much smaller on DJI now. Look, what DJI can do on anything is produce a bloody good product out the door. They don't get a lot of problems. But you still get DOAs now and again. Steal my identity. Overall, though, look, I think they need to sort the firmware situation out. Once that's solved, hopefully everyone can get on with their lives and everything looks really decent so far. And hopefully people find them good. I still don't buy in. Before I move on, I'll be clear. I do not buy into this upgradable nonsense. I have said it already. I said it in my video. Do not buy these goggles based on the fact that they are upgradable. There is no reason they couldn't upgrade the previous ones. The module on that goggle is as easy to swap as it is on this, and don't be fooled into thinking otherwise. I have shown it. I have said it already. It is just as easy to swap out the module on the V1 goggle. They could make an upgrade module for that just as easily as they make an upgrade module for this. This whole upgradability thing is, the only difference is you've got a panel on the top rather than a panel on the front, and there's 2 less screws to take that panel off. However, there are more screws internally on these goggles than there is on the other ones. The other goggles, to change the module out, you take the 4 screws to take the front panel off, lean it down, undo the UFLs, undo the power cable on the side, undo the MIPI cable on the bottom, and carefully slide the module out. I reckon I can get the module out of the V1 goggles faster than I can on these, and it is just as user-friendly. There are as many small connections and cables in this goggle as there is the V1. So this whole talk of upgradability is a smokescreen, in my opinion, overall. This is about separating from Fat Shark. Yes, that's a fair comment. Just catching up on the chat. Goggles X will be my last pewter purchase next time I went and see the hardware spec. Look, don't confuse things on these goggles. We're not sitting here saying CaddX have done anything wrong. Suddenly the ones you're getting are different to the ones we had. The product is good. Right now is incompetence with firmware. The rest of it is fine. Wayne says he's just made the switch to Walksnail coming from analog and a bit of new learning curve, but so far he likes what you see. You just hope the development continues. Yeah, there's some good stuff around the corner. Tom has said CaddX isn't DJI. As he said, or everyone wait 1 or 2 weeks. I'm sorry, telling people to wait 1 or 2 weeks on a product that they've shipped and just bought is bullshit, and I won't have it. Saying to people, just wait 1 or 2 weeks and you'll have firmware, that's complete nonsense. That's like me selling you a car and saying, yeah, I've taken your money, it's outside your house, but you're not allowed to drive it for 2 weeks. Your Ferrari's arrived, but I'm sorry, you're not allowed to drive it for 2 weeks because we haven't finished the software yet, but it's outside your house. People are expecting the known bugs in the beta to be fixed in the next release. Hopefully, yeah. Look, again, this isn't about having that new firmware. This is about mismatch. This problem is not about the new firmware. I don't care about the new firmware and features. That's not been promised. We did not review the new firmware and features. We reviewed the goggles. The goggles are being delivered with the features we reviewed. That's all fine. No one is questioning that. What's wrong is they got a stupid message that shouldn't be there. My menu button isn't working right. Jimmy, is yours the one? Are you from my Discord? I can't remember. Are you the one that said to me, if you buy a used set, do you get any problems with them being bound to users' accounts? No. CaddX have no activation, no links to user accounts. The product just works out of the box other than firmware updates. So CaddX has none of DJI's activation nonsense. And that is a real positive. I don't really care about DJI's activation nonsense. It doesn't bother me. I know there are a lot of people who hate the fact you have to activate. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. What I do care about is if the product does say what it says. DJI had the same issue with the release of the Mavic 2 Pro when the goggles were first supported, and then 6 months later, head tracking became available. Just 6 months, not 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't care about the feet. Look, and this is the problem. People are sort of saying, oh, but the new firmware is going to be 2 weeks. I don't care about the new firmware. No one has tested the new firmware in a public domain and talked about it. What we're talking about here is the goggles are fine. The firmware is fine. Just release a bloody version for the VTX that gets rid of that message. It can be the same version. It doesn't matter. Just re-roll it so it has the new version number on, and then everyone's happy. Someone asked, do I think there'll be a new set of HDZero goggles in the new year? No, I'm not expecting a new set of HDZero goggles anytime soon. I know nothing. If they are, I don't know about it. Carl is more an iteration man. So, I suppose if we're going to criticize things a little, I'm not sure any of the 3 batches of HDZero goggles are actually the same. And what I mean by that is there are little tweaks that Carl has made all the way through. Now, that hasn't really ended up affecting users, although the analog issues were somewhat related to it, I believe. So Carl tends to be, like, he's constantly evolving more than it being, a fixed, here's a release. Fine. Okay, so, anyway. Bye, Greg. Have a great day. Enjoy it wherever you go. I don't care. My house, my rules. Hello, Darkman. How are you? Next, moving on to Carl is more of a manufacturer. Yeah. Yeah, Carl is just catching down on the chat before we move on. Yeah, I have no interest in pandering to what people think I should be doing. You can be here and watch, or you don't. I really appreciate those who are, but don't whinge about what I'm doing. I don't care. Go find someone else who will pander to whatever you want. And that's me being polite. Next, we're going to talk about the DJI leaks this week. Now, I should warn you that this image, when I find it, I've lost it. I've lost the image. How did I lose the image? I need to re-find the image. I should warn you that this image is, this is NFT material here. Should I use that word today? I don't even know. Yes, this week I pushed out a bit of a video at the same time that Junus posted from the FPV WTF team. about the leaks that we've heard about the upcoming DJI goggles. Now, whilst this image is somewhat a bit tongue-in-cheek, I want you to remember this image and refer back to it when we get to launch, because I'd like to know how close we got. But we have heard some stuff about the new DJI goggles, and this is factual, okay? This isn't hearsay or rumor. This is by people testing it. Now, we know they're going to be a similar form factor. And what I mean by that is they're going to be like this, hence the image. There are some external changes. As you can see, there's this band along the top. There's some changes around the grill area, apparently. And there is built-in vision cameras. Now, rather than put a picture of cameras on the screen, I did this image as a bit of a joke with googly eyes, and it stuck, so we decided to go with it. But basically, we know that there are 2 front-facing vision cameras that are going to allow vision through the goggles. But what we don't really know is what DJI intend to do with that. We believe genuinely, we believe that to be quite legitimate, that image. Let's wait and see what it turns, apart from the eyes, obviously. Swap the eyes for cameras. But we actually, we believe it to be fairly legitimate, based on the information we've been told. Now, we don't know when they're coming, but what we do know is it doesn't seem soon. Okay, so this isn't like next 2 weeks. And we know from the way DJI launches stuff that it doesn't feel ready or time yet. So, for instance, when DJI release things, it starts off, you'll usually get some leaked photo from China with it on the side of a pavement with someone flying it. And then the leaks will sort of step up to the point of a retail box usually turns up about 2 weeks before, maybe a bit earlier. And we've had none of that yet. So it does feel like we are some ways out from this today. Probably February, March. February, interesting, but you got to remember there's Chinese New Year. So they will either push to get it out before Chinese New Year, or they'll push the other side of it. What we have seen DJI do in the past as well is announce just before Chinese New Year and say they're going to deliver in like 3 or 4 weeks after Chinese New Year. At this moment in time, as far as we understand, everything around these goggles is related to this new drone, avionics, or whatever we're going to call it, avionics, or whatever it is, the term. There is no hint of an O4 air unit yet. However, that shouldn't be that surprising either, because from what we now know of the Avata launch, the Avata was one product development to a point, and then DJI split it at the base, and it went O3 air unit Avata. And you have to remember, O3 and Avata are very, very similar now. From a software stack point of view, they're a very, very similar product. So this isn't to say that you wouldn't get this new stack coming down vertically and then split again at the last minute. It's also worth remembering at the release of the Avata that O3 came later. There's nothing to say today they are even going to replace O3 for 3, and they could continue to use O3. What we understand right now, though, is these goggles are for whatever this drone is. What we don't really understand is what this drone is either, because there's some things that are not adding up. And what I mean by that is this. The situation with remotes seems to lean in 2 interesting ways. If you think of how DJI does its remote controllers, they usually have their FPV side and then they have the camera drone side, whereas this is a bit mixed at the moment with the Love Toy in the middle. And the Love Toy working across multiple different products. Whereas this feels a bit thin. So we don't know. Is this a new Avata? Is this something else? Is this a new category altogether? I'm not convinced DJI has seen that much success in their O3 they're ready to fly FPV drones. I think they've done okay, but I think they're still trying to find their niche, their market. If you look at where they went with the original FPV drone, that would fall apart as much as you look at it. Then they made the Avato, which is a great quad. Not perfect, but it is a phenomenal attempt at an cine whoop, which works really, really well. And it is bomb-proof. Genuinely bomb-proof. I do like what DJI did with the Avato. I think this could be something else again. We just don't know what that is. So we're going to have to wait and see. Now, as for what they're going to cost, no, we have no idea. Cameras cost money, as does electronics. What it doesn't feel is like they're building a MetaQuest 3 here. Don't expect MetaQuest 2 or 3 levels of processing. I think maybe a proper freestyle FPV module. No, I can see DJI going the other way. Look, DJI, I think, will not ever make a proper freestyle drone. They will not make any of that. Look, they're not interested in that world. DJI wants to sell FPV drones to the masses. We are not the target market. The target market is Mavic users who want to fly a bit more exciting. We are not the area of interest. FPV is tiny in comparison. They drop us a few air units to keep us happy, but it really isn't. I think they've sold a lot of them, but it's not in Mavic territory. That's the thing to understand, Lon, is I'm comparing to them Mavics. I think it's still not in Mavic territory, based on what I've seen. It's sold, but I think that DJI will be looking for another big success. And I still think they're tweaking things to get to where it'll be. But look, we got to wait and see. Why wait to release 04 when they can sell it for $100 more than 03? Yeah, look, 03 isn't expensive. You have to understand what you're getting with 03. There is a deep misunderstanding about 03. 03, for what it is a bargain. It's just not what most people think it is, and it's not what most people want. 03 is a combined unit, and it comes with basically the downsides of both without the upsides. And that was always going to be the case. I said this on my Discord today. DJI did nothing wrong with 03. Yes, it's got high latency in certain modes. That's physics. You can't change that. You can't have a camera sensor read out at 2 different frame rates. There was always going to be a compromise in making an air unit and action camera in one. The only way to do that successfully is with dual sensors, because you cannot run the filming. You can't run the sensor at 30 frames a second for filming and 100 frames a second for the link. You can't run the sensor at 100 frames a second and then bin the frames down to 30, because you're still refreshing that sensor at 100 hertz. Your jitter in the image is going to look horrific, because you'll be capturing 100 hertz frame, waiting the dead time from 30 frames, and then taking another one. It will be all over the place. Yeah, it's got dark dynamic range. The sensor's not great. That's to be fair. But what I mean is the compromises with 03 are not DJI's fault. They are the result of combining an air unit and an action camera. You can't have one refresh rate for one and one refresh rate for another. And the big downside to 03 is everyone wants to film in 30 frames a second, but that destroys the live feed as a result. And that's the issue. Just catch up on the chat. Maybe, yeah, a new camera. Look, DJI's always struggled with dynamic range. They've only just started to get on top of it with the Action 4. O3 is so much better. The image quality on O3 is hands down phenomenal. That's not in doubt. There will be a version 2 of the O3 and it'll be much lighter than the V1. I don't see how they can get that smaller. Well, no, there is a way of getting it smaller. If they moved over to the Sparrow 2 chip, they could get a bit more size. You can't make O3 any smaller than it is easily. What DJI did, Super Deluxe, I'll answer your question now, mate. And there's a super chat there, which I'll come on to in a sec as well. What DJI did with O3, the packaging is incredible. They can't make that any smaller. You want to find space. There is no space on O3. The images are all online. I've put them there. You cannot make that really any smaller than it is today. There's just no way of doing it. Is it possible to put my O3 back in focus by opening it up and adjusting something? Yeah, if it's out, the lens is adjustable, Super Deluxe. It's glued as standard, but it is adjustable. 2 seconds. I'm trying to find a camera. I've got a broken one on the bench. Where's he gone? Where has he gone? Here we are. Found it. Found it. The lens is adjustable. No, overhead. The lens is adjustable. So this one's already been broke. So you see I can screw this one in and out. All you need to do is probably come loose is probably what it's done. So they have some glue around it. What you want to do is you're going to pop it out. As standard, it's glued. Give it a good turn, it will move. But yeah, it still screws. It's just a non-standard thread. But it does come off, just to show you. There you go. There. That's my cracked lens, that one. But that's a good sensor board, so I need to look after that one. So, that's that. Right, before I move on, I just want to say a massive thank you to Quad City Bay Area for the $5 super chat. Radiomaster Bandit, did they improve latency or is it on par with Crossfire? We will come on to that in a minute. I will answer that question. With regards to latency, you're getting what you're getting in Express RS, so up to 200 hertz. So in theory, you've got a bit better latency than you're going to get on Crossfire. Is there a way of dumping the BL Heli 32 firmware as a backup to experiment with 1AM32 and revert back? I'm not aware of that, Sam, but you can flash back and forth if it's compatible. Does it have a ring to lock it down? No. No ring, you're going to have to glue it. There's no ring on this, just glue. Have I missed the Bandit discussion? No, you're not. We're moving on to the Bandit in a minute. All my HDZero Nano 90s come out of focus. Interesting. Victor. Oh, thank you for the membership gift. That's incredible. Didn't you do it last week as well, my friend? I really do appreciate that. That's incredible. Thank you, my friend. You did 10 last week, and that was incredible, but I thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. Right. So, that's DJI. That's the goggles 4, 3, whatever we're going to call them. We're going to have to wait and see. That's all we can do. Probably March. Let's see what happens. Probably March. Orqa FPV, yeah, look, I think, that's a subject for the end of the stream, the CAA in the UK. That's definitely a subject for the end. Remind me at the end because, yeah, look, I'm aware of the changes they want to make. Look, I'm sitting back and waiting a minute. I'm not running around shouting and screaming. To a point, they can do what they want. That's all I'm going to say. Let them do what they want. Goals 2 V2. Right, let's get on with the talk on the Ranger. No, the Bandit. I keep saying Ranger. So this week, we had my review of this, the Radiomaster Ranger with the clickbait thumbnail. talking about the new transmitters. Now, for those who don't know what these are, they are what I have been asking for so long, which is a big manufacturer really putting effort in to 900 megs. And that's what Radiomaster have done here. They've released their whole range of Ranger modules. I'm only going to show the big one here. The other ones are over there. And it is fantastic to see now a full proper range of modules from Radiomaster for these units. It is really, really good to see. It's not only modules themselves, it's Bandit. Did I say Ranger again? Bloody every time. Bandit, 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 Bandit. It is great to see the Bandit series every time. That video is so hard to record because I just kept saying it. But it is great to see someone come back. Now, the modules are the incredible quality we've come to expect from Radiomaster, but there has been a lot of questions and a lot of confusion and a lot of people not really understanding what the situation is. So, to start, with regards to these modules, they are 900 megs out the factory, FCC certified. The antennas and the hardware is capable of 868 and 900. You, as a user, can switch these modules into 868 in two ways. You can flash firmware onto them in ExpressRS configurator and select the 868 mode or CE location, or you can actually change it in the Wi-Fi configurator for the module, like I'll show you how to do in a minute. You don't actually have to reflash the module. You can just change it that way. I do have the receivers as well, which I talked about in the review. Now, Radiomaster are only going to be selling these FCC certified 900 megs. There will be no CE official LBT certification on these modules. You can set them to CE mode if you want to, which will give you 868. There is no LBT. There is no penalty for setting them to CE mode other than you going to 868. It doesn't restrict the RF power. Doesn't do any of that. It just changes the frequency from 900 to 868. However, they will not be selling a... I'll grab a receiver for you in a minute. Yeah, I did show the antennas. They will not be selling an 868 version out the door. So, you can change it, reflash, or you can change it in the configurator. Now, changing it in the configurator is really easy. What we're going to do is we're going to turn it on. First of all,
welcome to Mambo. Awful warning.
Let's just wait for it to kick in. And yes, it said Mambo because I got the Mambo SD card in this. Don't worry, I need to fix that. Customs do not... yeah, look, there are complications with doing a certified module like this. Now, to change the mode, if you want to do it, and I am going to make a separate video on this, we're going to need to put it into Wi-Fi mode, first of all. So we're going to press and hold. I'm going to go into Wi-Fi. I'm going to now put it next to my Wi-Fi adapter a minute because it has a multiple personality disorder, yes. My TX16 SD card died and I ended up putting the Mambo one in and somehow it now has the Mambo voice pack. I can't remember how I ended up doing that. Elmer Hawk asked, why not just do an update for the Ranger so we could do 2.4915? It is different front-end RF hardware. Okay? So, on the desktop, I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi, ExpressRS TX, and connect. We're just going to do this a minute and wait. It is different RF front-end. And I'll talk about the RF power on this module in a minute. Does take a second or two. Oh, thank you, Poker FPV. There we go. Let me just make sure I get the window in the right place. There, and then we're going to go to 10.0.0.1. We're now in the Express LRS configurator, and down here, you can change under regulatory domain the option you want. So you've got FCC 915, EU 868. So to change this module, you can simply change it from 915 to 868, click Save, and that will change it from 900 to 868 megs. It is as easy as that. It's really not hard at all. It is that simple. Now, I have checked. It does go to 868, and it does. I don't want to put the analyzer on live on the stream because it's a bit of a killer. But it does work. Reboot. And it's done. Now, just remember, if you're doing the receivers, you're also... I'm going to turn this off a minute. You're also going to have to change the firmware on your receivers as well for 868. Now, the next question people I've seen ask is, will the Bandit module do 2 watts like the Ranger module? And the answer is no. In my tests, about as far as you can push it is about 1.2 watts. It will go up a little bit more if you mess with the settings, but it isn't a lot. It isn't dramatically more power. There's no 2-watt mod on this simply because it's a different RF front end. Same housing, it's just not capable. Now, every module is going to behave a little bit differently. Nonetheless, don't forget that. They're not all going to behave the same. But in my test, about 1.2. That was as far as I could push it. Now, as for Express LRS 900 versus Crossfire 900, this now all where it gets complicated. You know, look, they will both give incredible range. Look, let's get that out the way. When it comes to range, they're both going to be fine. You're going to... Like, I'm not going to say one's going to get you any further than another. What I'm going to say is this. It comes down to features. A, these modules are going to be accessible, easy to get with cheap receivers. $20 for the standard receiver and $25 for the diversity. You're going to have the TX module available for $50. You can have a complete Express LRS setup on 900 megs from Radiomaster for $70 all in. That is the same price as the Crossfire module on its own. 200 hertz is the max you can run on these. Well, I put a fake beard on. 200 hertz on the 900. So 200 is the maximum these will go to in 900. So it's a little bit more than Crossfire.
Welcome to number 0.
I really need to change that. So just to go to the overhead, just to show you, 200 hertz. So you've got your 25 hertz mode, your 50 hertz, your 100 hertz, full, your 200 hertz, and then you also have your D50. Is it just D50? It's only D50, so they've only got a D mode on 50 on these. So that's the modes available. Yeah, look, I'm not going to say one. I can't tell you if one's going to give more range than the other. What I'll say is this: Express LRS goes dramatically further than any other system in 2.4, and I'd expect something similar in 900. I think what this comes down to now is features and capabilities. There are absolutely features and capabilities Crossfire has that this doesn't. You know, Crossfire has I think you can connect up, like you've got the configurable outputs, which is really quite handy. You've got, you can connect a GPS up to it. You've got the Mavlink stuff. But all of that is coming. Not all of it, sorry. Some of that is coming to Express LRS. There are different things. Quadfather, HDZero released software that bricked the goggles. I don't recall that. I have no idea what you're talking about. I do not remember HDZero goggles being bricked. If that happened, that's passed me by. I don't remember that. I thought today every HDZero goggle is recoverable. There was a period that they didn't have that backup in, but everyone has released firmware that's brick goggles. CaddX did it on the V1s on the early updates before they had the recovery partition. About the only product that hasn't bricked is DJI. DJI haven't bricked in many, many years. Many, many years. I've not seen an update that's bricked the HDZero goggles. I did an update on my HDZero goggles the other day, and it actually failed, and I ended up having to do the website recovery mode with the software, but it went through fine. Took me about half an hour of messing around, but I was on a beta version, which didn't help. But other than that, I was able to recover it. But I'll come back onto that in a minute. But no, look, with this module, there is absolutely things that Crossfire has that are better. The real key here is that is Crossfire available? And every time I've looked, it's just not. And look, I really like TBS. Don't think for 1 minute I don't like TBS. Trappy is a legend within FPV, and I genuinely wish him all of the best. But supply is a real issue, and I know it might not be their fault. It's, you know, they're not. I don't know what chipset they're using, but when it's come to TX modules, some are in stock and some are not. So the 200 quid one is out of stock. Out of stock. Heatsinks in stock. Out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. Only the $200 modules in stock. It's not great. That's a problem. That is a problem. That is a problem. Dean Sharpie, let me just have a look what is going on here. I've lost it. Is there something I need to see? Let me just have a look. Shipping schedule: order shipping to China 7 to 8 weeks. Rest of the world 6 to 7 weeks. It says the micro modules. So they are shipping out slowly. Well, that's good news. Look. But look, with regards to Crossfire, my comment is Crossfire, you know, is this the end of Crossfire? The very simple reality is this. The product that's available will sell the best generally. And it is available. I'm really pleased that Radiomaster released them. I've known about them for a little while. Genuinely, I've known about these for some time. I've probably laid the odd hint here and there. Last week's stream was funny because I knew the launch was Monday, obviously. And, yeah, I was even sitting here saying, if only a manufacturer would release good 900 megs modules. But look, Radiomaster is smashing it out the park once again. Really pleased to see it. Good news. Nothing bad here at all. Now, very quickly, whilst I'm still on Express LRS, I am just going to move over to one other thing. And that is this. Now, I'm going to have a video probably on this tomorrow. This is the Super G module from BetaFPV. What a piece of kit this is. This is the Gemini module. And I have a video coming on Gemini tomorrow. This is a hell of a module. Genuinely. This thing, in my hand, is pumping 1.5 watts on each output. It'll do 1.4 watts in dual mode to get on both. Backpack, high quality, outstanding manufacturing quality, as good as Radiomaster in every way. They have their receivers that go along with it, which are as good in manufacturing quality as anything I've seen out there. This is a very nice piece of kit. This is just a very, very nice piece of kit. It really is. Genuinely blown away with, if I look at this compared to where BetaFPV was, if I think about this, they've come on such a long way. Literally, where they're at from there to there, just amazing. Genuinely. I think, unless you need a display, this is probably the best nano module for Express ELRS on the market today. Sorry, Radiomaster, I know you've got some really good ones, but this is very good. This thing, I know price-wise, you're paying more, so obviously, because what's the Nano G? I can't remember what the price is. It's $70, so you're paying more, but it's very, very good. Very, very good. I'm impressed. I am genuinely impressed. Definitely worth a look. Now, before I move off Express ELRS, I had this open already because I wanted to talk about it. And it's always a reminder that the Express ELRS project, and I forgot to put this in the Radiomaster review, but it is in tomorrow's, is an amazing project run. To be honest, the devs are a bit funny. Not so sure about them. There's some bloody odd people in the dev team. You know, there's a guy who likes to stroke his beard and milk that a lot. There's a couple of others. You know, look, we've got to put up with them, right? But they do some good work. They're all right. Okay, so if you think they've done some good work, they do have an open collective page where you can make a donation. Okay, now you don't have to do it every month. You can do a one-off donation. You can do a monthly recurring donation. But please do consider donating to the project. Not only do they need the money to ensure that they're kept topped up with licorice all sorts and beard oil, but they also need the money to ensure that the project has the security in the future. So please, if you think they're doing good work, consider supporting them. You can do a one-off. You can do multiples. They really do deserve everyone's support. And really, that's all I can say. I'd pay them some money if they added a bind button. If only Express ELRS bind button. That's as mythical as a Fat Shark power button, that is. Controversial. What will happen first? A set of Fat Shark... I could have said what would happen first, a set of Fat Shark goggles with a power button or a bind button on Express ELRS, but Fat Shark have already done it, technically, with the avatars. But no. Cool. Right. I missed that comment earlier. If it's important, someone will remind me. If it's not, they won't. I don't care. Cool. Just want to say, Poker FPV, thank you for the £4.99 super chat. That's incredible, my friend. Got to run. We'll pick up the replay tomorrow. Thank you. You are amazing, as always. Now, if you guys have any questions, please do put them in the chat. We'll try and answer them before I move on. I think to the last subject. I'm losing track of what I said I was going to talk about tonight. We've done Radiomaster. We've done CaddX. We've done DJI 4. We've got the Here Pro. Is the Emax Baby Hawk 03 the best sub 250 at the moment? I can't answer that. I've not tried it. I don't know. I don't know. Something interesting, actually. A very interesting subject. I managed to figure out... do I think there'll be new HDZero goggles soon? I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting... HDZero is very iterative. Is that the right word? I don't know. In the way it makes products. Everything tends to be a step at a time. Rather than, you know, big dives. I'm not expecting anything anything soon. Cinelog 20, I can't comment on, never phone it. I can't even get GetRC to answer an email. I have reached out to GetRC. I'd love to try the Cinelog 35. Genuinely would love to try it. I'm probably going to end up buying one because I want one myself. The GetRC, it's a very, very nice Cinewhoop. But look, I can't even get GetRC to reply. That's it. I don't understand it. I don't know if I upset them. I have no idea. I have no recollection of dealing with this company. Oh, probably Cinelog 25 actually. No, was it the 25 or 35 I was looking at? I can't actually remember. 35. This is what I was looking at. I think this is a very nice looking quad. A very, very nice looking quad. But can't tell you what it's like. Not tried it. That's all I can say. I did do the reviews on the Defender 25, and actually this is a very interesting subject. And this is smart batteries and FPV. Now, for people who saw the video I don't know how many have watched it, iFlight have started doing some sort of smart batteries. And a question was, and look, this is something the Express ELRS team could even help with, and I don't mean it, but it would be a side project, is an open source smart battery software for FPV. Now, smart batteries do offer a lot of benefits, okay? They self-discharge, they self-balance, and they do take away some of the pain for new users. However, they are proprietary, and with that comes the proprietary connection and the proprietary nature of the software. It would be really good to have an open source battery stack software that manufacturers could use and install on their drones, but then we would all know about and have, you know, less concerns about having proprietary batteries on the product because we could create our own battery if we wanted to. I think there is absolutely a place for smart batteries in ready-to-fly drones. I do think there is a place for it, just because of the ease of use. However, the downsides are you're stuck with the proprietary nature. Oh, can we not just make a balance lead that does the same? I think it's tough because you're fighting DJI-style users entering a hobby. Yeah, and I'm with Lon. Why not a smart battery module? 100%. That's what it's in my head, Lon. It's like a module with open source software that you can put onto any battery. That's what I'm thinking about. Something like that. And I think it would be good for FPV. And it's not that I think, you know, the smart batteries iFlight are making it expensive. They're not. They're like $20. They're not terrible. I want to. Wes, my smart battery is so hard to configure. I want a bind button. You know, it's going to happen. Yeah. I'll come up with something. I'll whinge about something. Doesn't ISDT have something now to track sales? They do. They had something you can plug in, but we need a bit of an open source standard before manufacturers start running off and doing their own thing. I like what iFlight have done. I'm not saying it's bad, but there are some downsides there to it. I do like the self-discharge. Bloody handy. You forget how handy that is. You do forget how handy that is. Just to be able to leave the battery and it'll sort itself out. It's a really good feature. The range on my battery is really short as well. Wireless charging for FPV batteries. Wireless charging for FPV goggles would be handy. But yeah, it is something I wanted to bring up. But look, guys, if you've got any questions before we move on to the Here Pro, please do put it in the chat. I will try and answer them. Especially for Whoop batteries. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You know, an ultralight board. Can you promote the idea of proper battery maintenance, like at least storage and checking the ohms? Yeah, it's a video I've probably been thinking about on and off for ages, and I've never done because there are so many out there, but I probably should do one on, you know, what's the best voltage to store the batteries? Or range. Look, you shouldn't say voltage. Voltage is irrelevant. It's range. Look, today, that old 3.85 thing, it's a bit tight. Anything 3.7 to 3.8 is fine for the most part. The real key with batteries is actually temperature for storage, is making sure that they're kept at a good temperature. It's really important, is temperature. Spin, I think, is just landed on exactly the same as I was going, funny enough. I think I was already saying it and he's saying it. Temperature, voltage is important, but less so. You know, if your cells are at 3.75, that's fine. It's not going to give you too many problems. It's then internal resistance is a problem on a hammered pack, but it's less of a problem. But you need to track it to understand what the battery is doing, because it has a direct relevance to temperature in charging. Temperature for storage lipo, ideally get them around 10 degrees. Keep them below 20, but 15 to 10. 10 is like the sweet spot for a battery. 10 degrees. Keep them, look, 5 to 15 is a nice range, but 10 degrees. They actually store them in cold rooms at around 5 degrees in bigger places. The battery is more inert the lower the temperature. In freedom units. I don't know in your world. I deal in C. So whatever is in C. 5 to 15 is the ideal range, but you keep them around 5 is decent. But keep it stable. Don't let it vary much. Yeah, exactly. It's about stability. It's about the battery sitting there. You know, the safest LiPo is a LiPo basically at like 3.7 volts at 5 degrees. That's as good as you get. You know, that's as inert as you're going to get. My Goggles 2 battery says Goggles battery overheating. Interesting. Never seen that warning. Alexa lied. Alexa, cancel. We deal in Roman Catholic units. Yes, that's for sure. But yeah, I probably will do a video on it. It's probably an interesting subject. It's stability. The real key. Look, the number one killer of a LiPo. The number one killer of a LiPo is back-to-back charging at high temperature. Right? The number one killer is you fly, you put it back on charge. The best thing you can ever do with a LiPo is give it half an hour to rest. Have enough batteries that you can give it at least half an hour before charging again. The way to kill a pack is land, stick it on charge, and chuck it back on. Okay, the number one killer is concrete and RSJ. All right. But I mean longevity is back-to-back charging. They will gas up in no time through back-to-back charging. charging a mod. It will kill them so much quicker than just even 20 minutes. The difference is just exponential in the longevity of the battery. Because it's heat. Heat is the #1 killer of a lipo. Honestly, heat is the #1 killer of a lipo. Except concrete and stuff. Roof dice followed by smoke is popular. What's my favourite go-to at the moment? Battery-wise, China Hobberline tends to be what I use the most. Cold. Flying in the cold will suck the power away, but it generally won't damage the battery. The cold temperature generally will just take the punch out of the pack. Hot will affect the chemistry of the battery, and it will cause it to start breaking down, and that is why a battery gases. So a lipo gases because of the chemical breakdown internally as a result of the change, and then it produces gas. So a battery that is expanding is because of the chemical change inside the battery. That generally won't affect cold weather. Cold will just suck the life from a battery. It'll sag quicker. It won't have the punch. The heat, though, will cause the chemicals to begin to react and break down. That's the real key. Okay, so if you've got any other questions, please do put them in the chat and I'll try and answer them. I want to say a big hello to the 289 users. Wow, that's a big stream tonight. We've got 86 likes, so I'm going to ask you to get it over 100. Is there a link to get 16:9 OSD with Runcam Link Wasp and DJI Goggles 2? I've not used the Runcam Link Wasp. Is that not the 4x3 camera? Oh, yeah. Look, you'll see the cold. You will feel, so Dean, you will feel the cold weather very, very quickly. In a pack, it will suck the life from it. It really will suck the life. But it's not going to damage it. Because the battery will self-heat. That's the thing to understand. The battery will warm itself up. Do I know of any manufacturers that make prescription lenses for either of the Walksnail goggles? I'm sure there was someone who reached out to me, son of a flat top, and I can't remember. Are you on my Discord? If you're not, there's a link to my Discord in the description. Are you on Discord? If you are, come and join and put the question on there because I can have a dig. It's not something I'm going to find now, but I am sure a company reached out to me this year, about lenses. I'm trying to think what they were called. If you're on the Discord, come on the Discord. I'll have to have a dig. I ran a lithium ion on my motorcycles for a few years. It's awesome in summer, but really bad in winter. Yeah, you feel it. They sag like crap. Lead acid tends to hold up in the low temps. What's my go-to quad at present? If I just want to go for a fly, I'll pick up the Nazgul. Genuinely, the Nazgul is my go-to. I don't like to I haven't crashed the Nazgul. I've avoided it. The 5-inch I tend to keep as my sort of flying quad for cinematic. I don't do bando. Like, I'm not a bando pilot. I don't have bandos around here. Oh, I can get into at least. I'm not a great pilot. I tend to be, I like longer range stuff type of thing. But the Nazgul is probably my pick up and go. Only downside is the bloody thing is noisy. I tell you what is really good. To be fair, the Speedy Bee isn't bad either. The Defender 2. Defender? Is it the Defender? Can't remember the name. Could I mod Captain Bry in the chat for verification? Mike checked he's real. Oh my god. Ugh, I suppose another one of those bloody devs. Another one of those Express ELRS guys. Honest to God. You know what? Licorice all sorts. Beard oil. Honestly. Honestly. And where's that? Where's those other two? Reprobates. That cause all of the trouble. All of the trouble. All of the time. There's one of them. Oh, he is already. Where's the other one? The other one's here somewhere as well. He causes trouble too, that J guy. Or Jai, I can never say his name. Jive Bunny, I think his name is. Jai Smith, Jive Bunny, that's the one. Jive Bunny. Yeah, we'll do him as well. Bloody. Now we can see who to avoid. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you, and I'll still take questions, is something a little bit special. Now, for those who don't know what this is from CubePilot. I've done a lot of CubePilot stuff in the past, and this, you may find this quite interesting. This will blind you. This will burn your eyes out with the brightness of the LEDs on this. But this is the new HDZero Pro GPS. Now, when you're talking about GPSs on your quads, you know, we all like a little GPS that's really good for, you know, mounting on the back of a quad. You ain't mounting this on the back of a 5-inch. And just to give you some context on size for this, that's a JR Bay. Okay. Now, this is a full F7P GPS designed for pretty big birds, but also fully supports RTK, rover and base, but also this basically has a H7 flight controller included. It can basically act as a flight controller in itself. Now, this has so much connectivity and I/O, and just to give you an idea, right, there's a pin port on the bottom. I've just been making a custom bracket for it. Let me just get the board out, because there's a connection board and you need a custom base for this. It has its own XT30 inputs, 2 CAN bus ports, a debug I/O port and a serial port, as well as a USB port. It has a huge amount of I/O, frankly. And it is designed for Ardra. It is designed for much bigger birds than you're used to. But you can do something really cool with this. And that is, you can actually run 2 of these on a quad, and you can use GPS yaw rather than have a compass. And you can fly it in magnetic affected environments without the need for a ground station. You would just have to basically have 2. Now, I will be putting this on a build. It's only come in this week. How about your video showing how to put a Cube ID into HDZero 3 Plus and set up? You shouldn't need a Cube ID. Yeah, I need to have a look at that. I haven't actually had a chance. This is not your average GPS module, to say the least. It is a very, very high-end piece of kit. And just to give you guys some ideas, one of these costs about £700 or $700, I think it is the price on one of these. They are not everyday products. Let's just say that. You know, it doesn't even have a stand. You have to custom design your own stand because it's designed for your own build. What it does have, though, is LEDs around the side, which are fully programmable Q-Pilot LEDs that will literally burn your eyes out of the sockets. They are so bright, it is insane. Honestly, I fired it up and it literally nearly burned the retinas out my head. Now, the nice thing with this is, as I said, it's an RTK capable of GPS. It will act as a rover or a base. For those who don't know what RTK is, you actually have, if you think about GPS, you have your normal GPS, so your satellites are picked up by this. So the point of reference of the GPS is the satellites in the sky. What you then, though, add is a fixed known point of reference on the ground through what's known as an RTK base station. So what you're then saying is, via telemetry, you've got your position from the satellites up here, but here is also a known fixed point, which then increases the accuracy down to centimeter level. And that's what you get with RTK. But this goes beyond that because you can use it with GPS. You can use it with all sorts of other very, very cool pieces of kit. Now, there will be some videos coming on this. It literally came in the middle of this week. I've had some other stuff to play with, first of all. Have fired it up and tested it on Q-Pilot, and it is astonishingly bright. That I've said. I've had a look at the flight controller, the prams and everything, and it's you wouldn't run a flight stack on this, but it has the ability to run software on board directly. You can run a Lua script directly on the GPS, or you could run custom software if you wanted to as well. Technically, it could be a flight controller. It isn't, but technically it could be a flight controller. But the idea is you can have all sorts of very interesting things on this. And as I've said, it's really designed for very big, generally very commercial or industrial aircraft. A very, very nice piece of kit. Ben at 3DXR sent me over a delivery this week to have a look at, and I'm looking forward to doing some tests on these and demonstrating their capabilities, because there isn't a lot out there like that. RTK is very cool. If you've not used RTK, I've used it on some very big birds. There are builds that I do that you guys don't get to see, which is some more stuff in the background every now and again, and that's where stuff like this comes in. Because that's why this sort of stuff is here. I do some stuff that you don't see on the channel. What is the latest? Wes has asked with Bruce. It seems like it's been a bit rough lately. Yeah, look, I haven't spoke to him. Look, I emailed Bruce last week just to say hello. I've not had a reply. However, I do know Gary has been in touch with him, and I have seen a post to say he's feeling better and he thinks he might be back next week and he's going to make some content. He sounded a bit pumped up about the new UK regulations thing, so we're going to hear him shout and scream about that. From the sounds of it, which is good. We like to hear Bruce shout and scream. So hopefully he's okay. I haven't spoke to him myself. Look, I don't know what the situation is. All I know is I wish him all of the best. If Bruce wants to talk to me, he will. If he doesn't, he won't. Look, I've known Bruce on and off a little bit now for quite some time, and we've spoke on the live streams. We speak now and again. But look, I have my way of doing things and Bruce has his. I genuinely wish him all of the very best. But just because I don't go out and write letters or scream about something doesn't mean I don't support him in different ways. And, you know, I think it gets very difficult. If I don't like creators asking an audience to do things for them. I think and not for them, even, saying go fill in this. Look, the CAA are trying to change the rules in the UK. They're doing a consultation. Me telling you to go and fill that out is great. I think where it gets a bit awkward is when if I had a problem like Bruce had and said, look, can you go and write to my local council and harass them for me? That's where things get a bit funny for me. It's not how I would operate. It's not what I do. I'm not saying Bruce is wrong either. Genuinely, he does what he feels is right, and I support Bruce in whatever he does. But there are some things I will do, and there are some things I just think, you know what, I'm not going to get involved with that. And genuinely, look, we all have something to lose. You know, Wes has had his slap on the wrist. Everyone has something that they do. You know, I'm not in a country where I can shout and scream everything I want without problems. That's just a reality. I'm certainly not in China, but that doesn't mean I don't have stuff to lose and I don't have problems. What I'm looking at the new regulations is, I've looked at them, I want to give the consultation feedback, and I want to wait and see. If they do what they say they're going to do, then they're going to do it. If they're going to do it anyway, and there's no amount of screaming from me is going to change that. There's no amount of consultation feedback's going to change it. They've already made their bloody mind up. So I've said this before, and I said this with the US regulations. Do what you feel is right. So a rule comes out, right? In society, we have laws. Now, there are laws which are there to allow society to run in a civilized manner. And that is, don't hurt, don't kill, don't maim, don't steal, don't rob, don't do anything bad to someone else that you wouldn't want done to you. That's the real basics. That's all A-level. Let's not be hateful to each other. And then you have rules in society. Speeding, jaywalking, parking. All of this stuff which is done to try to solve a problem that someone feels should be solved. Are some of them legal related? Yes. But look, how many people speed? There's a reason fines exist for speeding. Fines don't exist to stop people speeding. Fines exist to make money off the back of it. If they wanted to stop people speeding, they would arrest you every time you went 1 mile an hour over the limit and lock you up. If you wanted to solve the problem of speeding, you would just do that. It's done as an income source. So there are rules and laws that are done in such a way that generate a fine or something as a result of a penalty, but it's not deemed unsafe. And it's the same with drones and quads. There are rules in flying drones which are safety. You know, stay away from manned aircraft. We know what that's about. And then there's going to be, you have to have this thing, so this person might want to know where you are. And then it's down to you to make a decision if you're going to comply with that or not. And that's my stance, and that's where I'm at. They already know what they want to do. I'm under no illusion of that. We don't live in a society where we get to make choice. They've already decided the security services want this. No matter how much shouting, they want this. They want this bad. They want remote ID. They want license plates on drones. They want to know. They want to be able to track everyone. Speeding cars isn't a good example. It's an example because there is an acceptable level of risk with speeding that we as a society accept. Because if we didn't, we would lock everyone up. There is the security services. I've known about, look, I've been in rooms which I can't talk about over the years due to various conversations with people. And look, it was very clear to me a long time ago that the security services wanted to nail this down so much. They are crapping themselves over the proliferation of drones. It's far beyond the technology that they have. They have no way of stopping it. They have no way of controlling it. And they are what they feel they're 1 second away from a major incident at all times. And they are hanging on for dear life to try and find a way to stop it. So everything comes down to what's dangerous and then what's an acceptable level of risk. And that's where you as a person in society have to make a decision. You know, what's an acceptable level of risk? 5 mile an hour over the speed limit or shooting a red light? Well, I think we all know that shooting a red light is likely to end badly, yet 5 miles an hour over the limit not necessarily is. But it could be if you were driving in a 20-mile-an-hour zone where there are kids. But it might not be driving down a motorway when you're the only vehicle on the road on a dry day with nothing else there. So context is everything. Situation is everything. So when it comes to laws, they're going to do the laws they want. I'm under no illusion to believe for 1 minute that consultation is going to have any other outcome than what I want. And that's the reality of it. Now, I'm not going to be shouting and screaming about it. I am going to put a video out this week just saying make sure you fill in the consultation. But let them decide what they want, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do. And it's as simple as that. There's many issues. There are many, many issues in drones which we can't solve. You know. But look, with regards to Bruce, I genuinely wish him all the best. I hope he's okay. If he's upset with me, I don't know what I've done. If he's not upset with me, reply to your bloody emails. Get well soon, you old grumpy git. That's pretty much where I'm at with it. Yeah, and look, there's loads of issues with it, but they're going to do what they're going to do. That's the problem. They are going to do what they're going to do, as they always have. And look, I know he had a bunch of videos taken down, and that was a complicated situation because he had copyright strikes from someone in the video. And again, I have discussed this point before. It's a very complicated subject. What's clear is when you have people in your content who are not, say, your wife, your kids, your family, even when they've given permission at the time, it seems that permission can be withdrawn and YouTube will uphold that decision, and that's the problem. So, you know, a classic of that is you could have someone in the background and they could be talking to you and not minding, yet a week later they could decide, you know what, I don't really... and a contract means nothing because YouTube won't uphold it. YouTube will just pull the video. YouTube will just go, yeah, sorry, copyright strike, take it down. They don't care. They don't have the time to check all of this stuff. So you do need to be careful. Look, Bruce is a legend. The term legend should be really used, but when it is used, expressed heavily. And Bruce is, without doubt, a legend. He was a legend the day he made an ICBM, let alone anything else, or a missile. But Bruce is a legend. I campaigned on RC groups when Bruce lost his wings the first time. The problem is, Bruce, I think, is living in a sort of a flexible area of the rules, which is complicated. I don't think he has his wings anymore. I don't fully understand that situation. And I think he's been sort of slipping through a gap that exists, and it seems that gap is getting tighter. And that's a reality. And if you know, if you're living in a gap and it looks like they've tried to change the rules for him, but they've not published them for anyone else, and it's all very murky, very nasty, shouldn't happen, but this crap does when, you know, look, here is a very simple reality I've always understood. Push the wrong people's buttons and they're going to come at you. And that is what's happened with Bruce. I'm not saying they are doing anything right. For 1 minute, they are not. They are behaving in a shameless manner. But nonetheless, poke a hornet's nest, or whatever we want to say, and they're going to come after you. And that's the problem here. But Bruce is XJet, yes. But I hope he's well. Genuinely, look, what I don't want him to do is lose faith. What I would say is this. if you ask people to do something and they don't do it, it doesn't mean people don't support you. You just can't always expect people to do things the way you want it done. And that's the reality. Right. We're going to have a couple more minutes of questions. I want to say a big thank you to everyone. Ask me how I know. Where's but there are times you just need to pull your head in and fly into the radar. That's why sometimes you just got to do what you've got to do and let them do what they want to do, because they're going to do it anyway. Yeah, look, he's a great guy. Bruce is a legend, an absolute legend. Sometimes, though, you got to play a political game and play it better than they are. And no, I don't think anyone should look. Bruce has shouted, screamed, pushed for everyone more than any one person ever has to, or should have to, and should have. He has highlighted more regulation issues than anyone else. He has campaigned against it more than anyone else. He has driven people to take action more than anyone else. But that also brings a cost on you, and it also comes at a penalty at times. And as Wes rightly said, there are times where you just need to fly under the radar. And perhaps Bruce now needs to step back from the fight and look after himself and do what he enjoys and what's most important to him, and not lose too much sleep about what's happening around the world around him. He can do no more than he has done. The term you could do is retire. You know, and I'm saying keep making content, keep doing stuff, but enjoy flying and let the politics roll over onto someone else now. And I wish him all the best, especially if it's affecting his health. He doesn't need this. Retire from political activism is a term I'd use. We want Bruce around a very, very long time. He's like 104 now, so he's only got 1 or 2 hours left. So, you know, he needs to make the most of it. The Martyr X. Bruce the Martyr X. Yeah, look, if he wants to keep fighting, guilty and proven innocent. One or 2 hours. 104 was the new 60. MC, when you show yourself too much, you end up hurt. You've just got to be careful at times. You've just got to be careful. He looks pretty buff. That man, right, can out-press up probably most of us in this stream. He is a machine of a man, considering his age. 94. I'm just trying to poke the bear to see if I can get a response. He is a machine of a man. Machine of a man. But he is one of the best. And we want him around for a very, very long time. No, he's not 94. I don't know how old Bruce is. 70-something, I think, isn't he? Bruce is into his 70s now. He's definitely got the guns. He's into his 70s, I think. I can't remember exactly how old he is, but he's in his 70s. Oh, 70. Yeah, that's right. He just turned 70, didn't he? Yeah, I do miss Bruce's RC model review content. I'm still waiting for him to finish the Dragon Link videos. Get your finger out your pocket. Right, we're going to end this there. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's watched the stream tonight and also donated to the stream. The Super Chats, Quad City Bay Area, Vector Parallax for the donation of the channel memberships again. You're incredible. Poker FPV, Cliff Field. For those who don't know, I do have a Patreon. If you would like to support the channel, there is a link to it in the description, as is Buy Me a Coffee if you'd like to support the channel as well. I also have a Discord if you fancy coming over. Hello, D3VL. Hope you're well. There is a Discord there. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. Probably be back sometime this time next week if I haven't upset another manufacturer, if I haven't had a hit on me by CaddX FPV. And I will speak to you soon. There's never a graceful way to end a bloody live stream. Unbelievable.